to our YouTube presentation of the chronological Gospels. We're up to Matthew chapter 2. We finished off last week in Matthew chapter 2 verse 5, when the wise men have come from the east. They saw his star in the east, and they come to worship him who was being born King of the Jews. And they came and inquired, and they had probably come with an expectation that all of Jerusalem will be celebrating and all of Jerusalem will know exactly where the Messiah is, etc. But there's a blank, isn't it? There's just nothing going on. No one knows really what's happened. So they come to Bethlehem, they come to Jerusalem, and Herod has gathered all the chief priests and the scribes of the people together in verse 4, and he inquires of them where the Messiah was to be born. And the answer we read last week is in Micah chapter 5, and we spent a bit more time in Micah chapter 5 last week, going a bit further forward because of that amazing revelation of Yeshua who gave them up until she who is in labour is crying out and came to give birth. So we found out it was in Bethlehem, verse 6 of Judea, and not the least among the tribe rulers of Judah, for out of you shall come a ruler who will shepherd my people Israel. And that's where we left off last week. And it's sad really. Charles Spurgeon makes a great note. He says, it's sad when a preacher is like a signpost pointing the way but never following it himself on his own account. Such were those chief priests at Jerusalem. They could tell, they knew now where the Messiah was born, but they never went. They never went with the wise men. They thought they'd have gone, wow, the Messiah's being born and the scripture says it's in Bethlehem, let's all go and see. But there's such an apathy and indifference. Just like we keep saying, his first coming and his second coming are going to be very similar in many ways, and there's such an apathy, isn't it, about Yeshua's second coming, when we should be like the wise men who've travelled a long way to see where this Messiah, to come and worship him. And the people that are just living down the road, his very own people, have got all the information, but they don't even bother to go to worship. Anyway, so verse 7 we're up to then. Verse 7. Then Herod, when he had secretly called the wise men, determined from them what time the star appeared. So that would make sense later when Herod sends out the command to have all the infants under 2 years old born, because we've looked at this now, or we seen it last week, that Yeshua was born in the year 3 BC. And this now is a year or so later. So when Herod finds out when the star appeared, that's why the command goes out for all of the male infants under 2 to be born, not like under 1, you know, because as you can see, Yeshua is in his first year now, of the first year. You know, like the lamb, the sacrificial lamb is a lamb of the first year, isn't it? Which means it's had its first birthday, but it's not had its second birthday, it's of the first year. It's a year old, but not 2 years old. Yeah. And that's the time for you now. Yeshua is of the first year. He's in his second year. He hasn't reached the age of 2, but he has passed the age of 1. And that's what the lamb of the first year is, which is significant. So he finds out what time the stars appeared, and he sent them to Bethlehem and said, go and search carefully for the young child, not babe, and when you have found him, bring back word to me that I may worship him also. What a liar. I mean, we need to start to understand a bit about Herod. We need to know a bit of background about this man. He is evil and wicked and known for his bloodthirstiness. I mean, he was responsible for killing lots of people. And here, he's putting on this guise, isn't he? That he wants to, I'll come and worship this Messiah. But we know he thinks, and everyone around him thinks, that he is the King of the Jews. Herod's the King of the Jews, and now he's getting news that another king of the Jews has been born, and it's not one of his children. In fact, Herod had his own children killed. His own sons were killed. He had them killed because of his jealousy, because of his insecurity, because he was evil. He was evil. Evil. We need to understand that. It makes sense of his actions now. So he's pretending now that he wants to go and worship him as well. When they heard the king, they departed, and here it is again. And behold, the star which they had seen in the east, went before them till it came and stood over where the young child was. So we can understand now why people have thought this is some sort of strange star that wanders around, and it's not that far out of our sight because it can sit over the house and things like that, like what you see on Christmas cards and so on. But we've looked at this, and I believe that it's not that sort of star. It's a wandering star, isn't it? A wandering star, which that's what the planets were called in the ancient world. We mentioned this more on Friday, didn't we? But the Greek word for to wander is where we get the word for planet from. So this star, I believe, is a planet, and it's the planet Zedek HaZadik, the righteous one. And somehow, and it really is making me more and more sort of, what's the word, but I'm more amazed that this planet has inherited this name, Jupiter. Jupiter, of all the things in the world that they could have named this planet, they name it Jupiter, which is just a false god, isn't it? The Roman false god. The Roman version of Zeus, it was the equivalent of the Babylonian Baal. It's the same false god, the king of the gods, or whatever he's supposed to be called. And it's amazing that the planet that was called by God, the righteous one, has been usurped to take on this name, Jupiter. It's a giveaway. It's a real giveaway. But that is the planet we're looking at here. That is the star we're looking at. This star planet. And I'm only saying Jupiter so we know what planet we're talking about. But it's the righteous one. And this was literally the star of the show back when Yeshua was born, when the wise men first saw the star. And we've said what this is. It's a constellation situation, isn't it? It's the constellation of the woman, which we know as Virgo, the Virgin. And above her head was the constellation of Leo. And the part of the constellation of Leo is the king star, Regulus, the king star. And Jupiter, the king planet, came into conjunction with the king star. The wandering planet Jupiter came into conjunction with the fixed star, Regulus, the king star. And it was all the message that the King of Kings, the Lion of the tribe of Judah, has been born to a virgin. That is what the star they saw was. And the star of that show is the planet Zadik, the righteous one, aka, unfortunately, Jupiter. I'm going to keep on repeating that because we need to just grasp what this is. So that is the star. It's this wandering planet, Jupiter. As I've said, if you look up now in the morning sky, around 7 o'clock in the morning, you will see it rising in the eastern sky, a glorious, shining, wandering star. It's the planet Jupiter. So that went before them till it came, it says, and stood over where the young child was. And what I understand by this, and we just mentioned it before, and I've got, in this chronological Gospels, there's quite a few conjunctions in this period of time, all involving Jupiter, this planet. It's sort of garnering attention. And there's another occurrence when it comes into conjunction with Venus. And that's what that thing we might put up, a link to that, the Matzerot, that video. And he explains this, it's recorded in here as well, but for whatever reason, Michael Rood hasn't gone with this one as the sign. But there was this conjunction as well, which happened just a couple of months before this time. And this was when Jupiter, the righteous, came into conjunction with Venus. And Venus is known as the mother planet. And so there's a picture here of the mother with the child, which is exactly what the wise men will see when they get to Bethlehem. It doesn't mention Joseph is there. It's ornaments on Friday, doesn't it? It doesn't mention Joseph there. It's just they see the mother with his child. So some people have said that that's the star that they see. Maybe, but it doesn't explain this stopping that is significant, that the star stops over the place where the child is. And so I accept this explanation that it's called retrograde motion. And retrograde motion only works because we believe that we don't live on a flat earth that's stationary. We believe we live on a spherical earth that rotates and rotates around the sun. And all of the other wandering stars, the other planets, are rotating around the sun. And so because of our movements and the planet's movements, it sometimes gives an optical illusion. It's only an optical illusion. The planet Jupiter is just going round and round in its course. That's why we can be so specific about these things. This is what Johannes Kepler, Sir Isaac Newton, that's what they discovered, the movement of the planets and the physics of it, the astrophysics of it. It's so regular, so predictable. The courses of the planets are fixed. So Jupiter isn't stopping or ever going backwards. It's just going round and round, isn't it? But from our perspective, on another moving platform, it sometimes appears that Jupiter is going backwards. It's not going backwards, it's retrograde motion. It's an optical illusion from Earth's perspective, that whereas the planet was going off in that direction, all of a sudden it's going back on itself. And at some point there, it would stop. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Does make sense?
Yeah.
It makes sense to Justin. Well, that's what retrograde motion is, and that's what I believe. It's not some strange object floating around in the sky and it just stops. It's the planet Jupiter in retrograde motion, which gives the optical illusion that it stops, and they're just taking compass references, because that's what they are, and it's over the location where Yeshua is. I think it's that. Okay? And when they saw the star, verse 10, when they saw the star, they rejoiced with exceedingly great joy. We keep on seeing people, don't we, with this narrative of the nativity, and now further down the line, there's so much joy associated with it. It's wonderful, isn't it? The joy. They've been on this journey for a while, these fellas. They saw the star over a year ago. They have come to worship the King. We made the point last week, it's my understanding of it, these are from what was the court of Daniel. Daniel was the, second in charge, wasn't he, over 3 various kingdoms. And, he obviously would have amassed great wealth. He was a eunuch, he had no children to sort of pass on his wealth to. And I believe that these men came from his court and they were trained up in this way. It's what they knew what to expect for, what they were expecting. So when they saw this star, it's just such confirmation, isn't it? It's like they've seen from the scriptures now what Micah wrote, that this child will be born in Bethlehem. And now the star that first got their attention, the wandering planet, Jupiter, is now back in appearing again and doing an amazing about-turn on itself, showing them that this is the place. It's just the creator of the universe is confirming, his word is confirming it, the heavens are declaring it. It's what they're there for. He's put them there. It's what we read it more on Friday. In Job, wasn't it? Job chapter 38. It's when God says about the Mazzaroth, which means the constellations, and he's saying to Job and his friends, did you put them there? Can you bring out the bear? Can you bring out Pleiades? God's put these constellations there to testify of the most important thing in all of the universe, which is the Messiah. But all that's what we read in Psalm 19. The heavens declare the glory of God. And Hebrews chapter 1 tells us that Yeshua is the glory of God. So all of the heavens and all the planets and the stars and the moon and the sun, they are all there to testify to the glory of God and the message of Yeshua. That's what it's about. So when they rejoice with great joy, and when they are come into the house, so it's not the stable, it's not the manger scene, it's a completely different narrative. And I'm thankful that I know a lot of people know this. Not many people seem to believe the nativity lie with the shepherds and all the wise men together. It's so clear, isn't it, that this is a different occasion altogether. You know, the wise men were at the nativity scene. This is not the nativity scene. They came into the house. There was no house for Yeshua when he was born, was there? But clearly now they've got a house in Bethlehem. Well, that's good. So they came into the house and they saw, again, not the babe, but the young child with Miriam, his mother, and they fell down and worshipped him. This is powerful. These are serious men, these wise men. Some people say that these are, in fact, king makers, and were called in the case of dispute. Some would be the people that have the power to make kings. That's what I've heard in the studies. But these men, they're serious men, and they come in and they fall down and worship him. They just met another fella who was a king, King Herod, and there was no record there that they worshipped King Herod and fell down and worshipped him. So this is not a human thing they're doing. This is not just, you know, to respect a human king. This is because you only worship God. Only God is worthy of worship, and they know what they're doing here. They are worshipping this child, Yeshua, because he is God. He is the Son of God, and he is worthy to be worshipped. They're actually fulfilling prophecy in what they're doing here, as we'll see. And we'll see that in the next verse. We'll just keep hold of that thought that they have come to worship him and pay homage to him. We'll see that now. But like this though, I think I got this off Matthew Henry or John Lightfoot, but before they presented their gifts, that's what's next, the famous gifts that the wise men bring. But before they present their gifts, they present themselves. Amen. They fall down and worship him. Amen. Before they get any presents out, they offer themselves in worship. And this is what we've got to do, isn't it? Amen. We need to present ourselves to him and fall down and worship him. Wow, this is the baby, Yeshua, but they know exactly who he is. He is the King of the Jews. Hallelujah. Amen. Hallelujah.
How old was he here then?
Well, as I say, you know, I believe that this is at the time that Jupiter was in retrograde motion, and that's why the beauty of this is that you can pinpoint this down, because we can see from that software stellarium when this all took place. So this actually, according to the Chronological Gospels, this sign that they see is on the December the 21st. I said that last week, didn't I?
Yeah.
That was last Friday, December the 21st. So this day, according to the Chronological Gospels, based on astrophysics, let's put it that way. Astrophysics is a good terminology, isn't it? Because it's the physics of the universe. So according to the physics of the universe, which Kepler and Isaac Newton worked out, you know, their mathematics has been put into the stellarium software. You know, like what NASA use, you know, when they're charting a course to the moon, which is moving as well. This is the mathematics that they use. You know, and it's now, because it's only been in the last 20 years that processor speed is up to date enough to be able to process all of these mathematics. So mathematically, astrophysically, this conjunction or this action by Jupiter was on the 21st of December 2 BC, and Yeshua was born, we believe, in the 7th month, September of 3 BC. So he's just over a year old. Not fair?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
15 untold about that.
How about that? If you're going with this conjunction, if you're going with the area conjunction I mentioned, when Venus and Jupiter, that's a couple of months area. But he's about a year old. Yeah, that's why I mentioned that lamb of the first year scenario.
So just let me get this right. So the star was not over where the shepherds were. This is over a house.
Yeah, the shepherds and the wise men are completely separate incidents.
I didn't.
Oh, you didn't know? All right then. So that's what this is for. I mean, yeah, what we've inherited, isn't it, is the shepherds and the wise men all in the same place. And that is just not what happens. You know, they see his star a year ago when he gets born. There's no way they can get from where they are to Bethlehem in about an hour. It's just impossible, isn't it? You know, and then we get by this information here by Herod. When did you see this star? And then we'll find out later it's kill the kids under 2. You know, they come to the house where he was to see the young child, not the baby. It's just it's 2 completely different events. I thought you knew that, but you know, but I know a lot of people do know that these days, so that's good. So the next part of it is verse 11 with it. So they come in, they've seen the child with Mary, his mother, they fall down and worship him, and when they had opened their treasures, after they presented themselves, they presented gifts to him. Gold, frankincense, and myrrh. And I presume this is where they get the idea that there's 3 wise men, and each got a present each, you know. Well, as I say, it doesn't tell us how many there was. You know, there might have been 2 for all we know, there might have been loads. But they certainly would have had a guard with them, you know, on their travels. But then what is important is that they have 3 specific gifts: gold, frankincense and myrrh. So let's just read the scripture here, Isaiah chapter 60. We've said that what they're doing here is actually prophetic. This journey to come and worship him is prophetic, and it's also prophetic that they bring gifts with them. Isaiah chapter 60 verse 6 says this: the multitude of camels shall cover your land, the dromedaries of Midian and Ephah, all those from Sheba shall come, they shall bring gold and incense. See, this is what they're doing, they're bringing gold, frankincense and myrrh. They shall bring gold and incense, and they shall proclaim the praises of Jehovah. Well, that's what they're doing, isn't it? They come on this journey to worship him who has been born King of the Jews. They come into his house and they fall down and worship him and get gifts out of gold and incense. This is prophetic. It's a prophetic act, what they're doing here. Daniel, I believe, has really prepared these men well.
He knew that. He knew all this.
Who?
Daniel.
Well, Daniel knew so much. He knew so much that he was written down, and there were certain things that got revealed to him that he got told. Seal that up, Daniel. Don't let people know about that bit, Daniel. But he knew it.
Oh, yeah.
And now I believe he has trained up men that will come after him. He knew the timing of the Messiah. He didn't have all the details. Micah knew he was going to be in Bethlehem. That's why they had to find out where is he being born. They probably just assumed that he was going to be in Jerusalem. It's probably King Herod's son. Let's go to the palace. They would have assumed them things maybe. Now the plot's getting thicker. It's like, wow, he's in Bethlehem. He's poor. Well, that makes sense why we got told to bring all this gold, frankincense and myrrh. Yeah, that just makes sense to me, you know, but you don't have to accept these things. They're just suggestions, aren't they? Inquire, search these things out. So let's have a little look at it. Gold, frankincense and myrrh. Well, I think everyone can understand what the gold is, can't we? Gold's the king, isn't it? It's the king of metals, really. It's the king. It's what you give a king. Representing to him gold, because he's a king. He's a king. I mean, this is going to come in really handy, you know, because obviously Mary and Joseph are wealthy because they only presented turtle doves, didn't they, at Yeshua's dedication and Mary's purification. But this is going to come in handy soon, as we'll see. So gold, because he's a king. Frankincense, where have we seen frankincense before? And myrrh, where have we seen these things already? Well, we definitely see them in the Song of Songs, but where did we first come across them? Frankincense, it was when we were getting the instructions in Exodus, wasn't it, for the incense offering, the offering of incense that goes on the altar of incense, and that was mixed with frankincense, wasn't it? Frankincense is in the altar of incense, which represents the prayers, doesn't it? The priest went in to burn incense on the altar. King David says in Psalm 141, let my prayers be set before you like incense. Revelation shows us that the prayers of the saints rise like incense, and they're gathered together in bowls, aren't they, to be poured out at a later date. So that's incense is a very priestly thing, isn't it? And where have we seen myrrh? We've seen myrrh quite a bit, but myrrh is also in this priestly fragrances, if you like, because myrrh is part of the anointing oil, isn't it? In fact, the chief compound for the anointing oil is myrrh. So what they're doing here, really, they're bringing gifts that represent that Yeshua is a king and that he is a priest. He's a king and a priest, isn't he? And that's part of the message that was in the heavenlies, that the righteous one, Hazadik, Jupiter, the righteous one, the king planet, has come into conjunction with the king star. It's the righteous king. It's Melchizedek, the king of righteousness.
Amen.
Melchizedek, David said, you are a priest forever, according to the order of Melchizedek, the king of righteousness. So the message of this gifts is that this is the righteous king, who is also our high priest.
Amen.
He's a high priest forever. He is our high priest forever. And it says, look unto Yeshua, the author and finisher of our faith. He is our high priest forever. He makes intercession for us. This is who he is. He's the King of Kings, but he is also the high priest who ever lives to make intercession for us through his death.
Amen. So you're saying the three gifts indicate that he's a king and he's a priest.
Amen.
And he combines both of those.
Yeah, which can only be seen in Melchizedek.
Absolutely. So what's your view on the traditional Christian interpretation of the fact that they would say that frankincense and myrrh speak about his death? Because
I could accept that as well.
Okay. Because obviously the fact they use that in the embalming process.
Yeah. No, so you see myrrh a lot, and then referred to it in the Song of Songs, didn't she, before? You see myrrh in the Song of Songs, especially in chapter 5, when the beloved's knocking at the door, and it's the smell of myrrh that arouses the Shulamite, and she goes, and myrrh's dripping from her fingers and all the rest of it. Yeah, so myrrh is very, very important, and myrrh definitely is what was used to anoint Yeshua at the time of his burial. Yeah, so myrrh is definitely speaking, I would say, of his death as well, and burial. Yeah, I say there's probably a lot in that, to be honest with you. And just that first thing that occurs to me is that they are bringing this in recognition that he is a king and a priest. But yeah, very much, like I said the other week, in a lot of all of this, there's always undertones of his death in there. Getting messages about that as well. So yeah, that's good. But maybe they got a really useful purpose, maybe, as Sina suggested, that they got a really useful purpose, because the next verse is, verse 13, verse 12, then, being divinely warned in a dream that they should not return to Herod. See, they're to come back. Herod says, come back and tell me, so that I come and worship him. And people are gullible, aren't they? You know, we don't know everything. And these wise men might have not been so wise and would have gone back to Herod and gone, oh, sounds, we show you the house and everything, it's great. But thank God they got divinely warned in a dream. They had dreams that they should not return to Herod. So they departed for their own country another way. Herod, we're going to find out, we'll leave it till we find out. Verse 13, now when they had departed, behold, an angel of Jehovah appeared to Joseph in a dream. This is not his first dream, is it? He's had a dream already. he's got used to this now. He had a dream, didn't he? About 2 years ago now, when Miriam came back from Elishibas and she was 3 months pregnant, and he was anxious about what to do. And he had a dream, didn't he? And the angel Gabriel, I think it was Gabriel, but an angel appeared to Joseph in a dream, didn't he? And said, don't worry, don't have to put it away or nothing. She is with child of the Holy Spirit, and you will call his name Yeshua, for he will save his people. So Joseph again is having another dream. When they departed, an angel of Jehovah appeared to Joseph in a dream, saying, arise and take the young child and his mother, flee to Egypt and stay there until I bring you word. Until I bring you word. So he's going to be having another visitation in the future. For Herod will seek the young child to destroy him. Wow. And this is what we mentioned last week. Remember when we looked at it last week? We might have to do it again now. In Revelation chapter 12, we had the wonderful sign in the heavens of a woman clothed with the sun, with the moon at her feet and a garland of 12 stars around her head, who cried out in labour and pain to give birth. And then there was another sign in heaven, remember? And it was a 7-headed dragon, wasn't it, with 10 crowns. And what did it say in Revelation 12? Revelation 12 said, verse 4, his tail drew 1/3 of the stars of heaven and threw them to the earth. And the dragon stood before the woman who was ready to give birth, to devour her child as soon as it was born. And this is Satan. This is Satan. I believe Satan, right up till the time Yeshua comes, is going to be trying to destroy Israel. You know, it's like what he's done throughout history. No, recent history, current news, isn't it? There's the Iranians or whoever it is crying out for the destruction of Israel. And this is satanic. Psalm 83 is a great read, isn't it? Psalm 83 verse 4 and 5 telling us, you know, what the nations are like. Let us destroy Israel from being a nation. Let's cast them into the sea. And a confederacy of nations are gathering together to destroy Israel. Well, this is just Satan's behaviour. He's been like this all the time. He was like this at the time of the first Exodus, wasn't he? When Israel were in Egypt, and a Pharaoh kid rose up that didn't know Joseph, didn't know the people of Israel in that way. And he put a decree out, didn't he, for all of the male children to be thrown into the river Nile. Satan is always trying to destroy the seed. And he knows, we were saying this the other day, really, like, on the way to the meeting on Saturday, that Satan knows what Yeshua has said, that until you cry out, Baruch haba, B'Shem Adonai, blessed is he who comes in the name of the Lord, you won't see me again. And so Satan's plan is to destroy Israel so that they won't cry out Baruch haba, B'Shem Adonai, because he knows if they don't cry out Baruch haba, B'Shem Adonai, the Messiah is not coming back. So it's his last roll of the dice. I think he's that deceived that he is self-deceived and actually thinks he's got a chance. I don't know. But he certainly tells his followers and those who worship him that he has got a chance. And these Masonic people think that they have got a chance of becoming the, you know, rulers of the world. Well, they are temporarily ruling the world, but that won't last for long. Because Satan is cast down to earth soon, and he knows his time is short, and he is exceedingly wroth, it says in Revelation. Well, that's exactly how Herod's going to be in a minute. So, the angel has said, take the young child, because Herod is going to seek to destroy him. Just like we are shown in Revelation 12, it's that picture that just as it was in Yeshua's first coming, so it will be at the time of his second coming, and this dragon is going to seek to destroy Israel. To stop the return of the Messiah. Verse 14, when he arose, he took the child and his mother by night. So we obviously had this dream, gets up in the middle of the night because they flee by night. and depart for Egypt, and was there until the death of Herod, which is important when that is, that it might be fulfilled, which was spoken by Jehovah through the prophet Hosea in chapter 11, Hosea chapter 11 verse 1. In Hosea chapter 11 verse 1 it says, out of Egypt I called my son. And that that Matthew is telling us that prophecy by Hosea was talking about Yeshua. It's a prophecy of Yeshua, and so in order for that to be fulfilled, Yeshua had to go to Egypt. So even in this you can see God just turns the plans of wicked men around for his own purposes, doesn't he?
Amen.
Because there's a real important message that Yeshua had to go down to Egypt. And why is this? It's because he's taken our place. Just in the same way Israel had to go down to Egypt, didn't it? Abraham went to Egypt, and Jacob, on account of the famine, went down to Egypt. And Joseph said, we read it this on this Sabbath in the final part of the Torah, didn't we? When Joseph said, God intended all this for good. All of this, God intended it all for good. He had a great plan in all of this. All what you've done sold me into slavery. God had a greater plan. And he intended this for the salvation of the world, the known world as it was. You know, Egypt and the whole world was sort of having a terrible famine. And the human race would have been wiped out, apart from Joseph was brought down into Egypt to bring about a salvation of sorts.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, I think I was saying something.
Well, Joseph was the saviour of the world, wasn't he?
Yeah, and that's why the Messiah is known as the Messiah, Ben Joseph, isn't he? The son of Joseph. And that's why there's a first and a second coming of the Messiah. He had to come and suffer. Thank God Israel will soon say, where did you go get those wounds in your hands? Where did you get them wounds? And Yeshua will say, in the house of my friends. And that's when they will mourn and weep for an only son, just like Joseph's brothers didn't recognise him, and then he told, I am Joseph, and they wept. It's a great picture of how there's going to be a great reconciliation between Yeshua and his brothers.
Amen.
Where he was rejected by his brothers, he'll soon be accepted by his brothers with great weeping. Oh, with great weeping. They will be. They will weep and mourn. Hallelujah for that day. Thank you, Lord.
Amen.
So this is all part of the story. He had to go down to Egypt. Another great note from, I think it's a Matthew Henry, Yeshua was banished from the earthly Israel, that we, who on account of sin were banished from the heavenly Israel, might not forever be expelled. So it's a picture of just the way Israel went down to Egypt, and God delivered Israel out of Egypt through the blood of a lamb. Then Yeshua, then God is delivering us from spiritual Egypt.
Amen.
By the blood of the lamb.
Amen.
And that's what this is a picture of. He has to come out of Egypt so that it will be fulfilled by the prophet Hosea, out of Egypt I called my son. Some lovely little notes on this. Again, it's another Matthew Henry, but it says, if we may credit the Coptic tradition, using what the Coptics before is the Egyptian church. You know, because think about it, who's the one going down here? We've just been talking about it for a few minutes. Who's the name of the man that's taken Yeshua and Mary here? Joseph. And what a fond memories they would have had of this man. He'd been welcomed by Egyptians. Here's another Israelite, another Hebrew called Joseph. Oh, we had your mate here a couple of thousand years ago, and he saved the planet. He saved us all. Joseph was held in high esteem, wasn't he, by the Egyptians? So it's a good name, isn't it? You know, if you want to get someone to take your son down to Egypt, good name to give him, Joseph. You know, you've got a warm reception.
Yeah.
And there also was a lot of Jews in Egypt at that time, because we know when Nebuchadnezzar took captivity, Jerusalem into captivity, some fled to Egypt, didn't he? Some went down and fled to Egypt, and there is historical writings about what happened there, that they set up a worship system in Egypt a worship system to the true God in Egypt. It says that in Isaiah 19, that the Lord shall come into Egypt, and the idols of Egypt shall be moved at his presence. And that's what Matthew Henry's saying. If we can go with the Coptic tradition, at the entrance into Egypt of Yeshua and the family, they went into a temple, and all the images of their gods were overthrown by an invisible power and fell like Dagon. And that is biblical, that when Dagon fell before the ark. And that is backing up the prophecy. And this is what the Coptic tradition is. Of when, you know, the baby Yeshua went down to Egypt, all the idols were just falling down. As Matthew Henry says, if you can credit tradition, just an interesting thing. Amen. So verse 16. Oh no, everyone wants another thing I'll mention. Yeah, this is worth noting, the way that phrase is, that it says, that it might be fulfilled. That it might be fulfilled. And it's Matthew who makes use of that phrase more than any other. Matthew was really, well, this is the point that Matthew Henry makes, and we will get our notes out and make more reference next week or whatever when we do the genealogy of Yeshua. That it's accepted by scholars, but by the early church historians, by the very, very early 3rd and 4th century teachers, they all taught, without exception, that the Gospel of Matthew was written in Hebrew. That is just a common fact to the early church historians, to the early church fathers. And right up to Matthew Henry's time, he had no problem with saying that the Gospel of Matthew was first published in Hebrew. And it was Matthew was writing to Hebrews, and he is always pointing out that Yeshua is fulfilling the prophecy here. This is done so that it will be fulfilled by what the prophet said. It's a big Matthew way of writing. All right.
Amen.
Amen. Verse 16. Then Herod, because the wise men have got off a different way, when he saw that he was deceived by the wise men, he was exceedingly angry. This is like what we said in Revelation when it describes Satan when he's cast to earth, and he is exceedingly full of anger because he knows he has a short time left. Well, that just happens that Herod's on the very last days of his life as well. Herod, when he saw that he was deceived by the wise men, was exceedingly angry, and he sent forth and put to death all the male children who were in Bethlehem, and in all its districts, from 2 years old and under. So we've already mentioned that, haven't we? You know, mentioned why he's going for 2-year-olds and under, because he's already found out off the wise men. When did you see his star appear? Right, that's connected to his birth, and that was under 2 years ago. But you know, it's over a year, you know, sort of. It's not babies, it's the children under 2. According to the time which he had determined from the wise men. Then was fulfilled, here he's doing it again, then was fulfilled what was spoken by Jeremiah the prophet, saying, and then we'll read this now, a voice was heard in Ramah, lamentation, and Ramah is northern Israel, lamentation, weeping and great mourning, Rachel weeping for her children, refusing to be comforted because they are no more. So that is a solemn verse, isn't it?
Yeah.
And that's from Jeremiah chapter 31. And as soon as we see Jeremiah chapter 31, we should be going, it's a brilliant chapter, Jeremiah 31. Because, you know, for your own study and for your own edification and understanding, read Jeremiah chapter 30 and 31 and 32 and 33 and 34. All of that passage is wonderful. I mean, they are amongst the best parts in Jeremiah, these passages, these chapters. They're all about the restoration of Israel. They're all the promises of God that though they are about to go into captivity, And Jeremiah says in those verses, for 70 years, don't be listening to these false prophets. There was a false prophet going, oh, within 2 years, all the gold's going to come back and we'll be back in the temple again having a great time. False prophets were saying this, and Jeremiah saying, don't listen to them. You're going to be there for 70 years. And when you're there, settle down there, build houses there, have families there. And when you're there in the land of your captivity, the land of your exile, pray for the place where you are. And that's a message to us today.
Amen.
In this exile, pray.
Amen.
God's put you in Liverpool, pray for it. Wherever he's put you, pray for the place where you are in exile. But soon the exile's over and we're all going home. But that was the message Jeremiah was giving them. You're going to be there. 70 years have been decreed now. And that was, thankfully, what Daniel read. In Daniel chapter 7, where he said, I was reading and I seen in the book of Jeremiah that 70 years had to pass. And 70 years is up. It's time to pray. This is Daniel. And this is connected to this prophecy, you see, because in these passages, Jeremiah chapter 30, right through 34 and probably beyond, but it's worth reading it all. It's so encouraging, so encouraging. I'm so encouraging that we will read all of Jeremiah 31 before we finish tonight. Okay, so we're just reading that verse that Herod has sent out the order to kill all the male infants under 2 years old. Then was fulfilled what was spoken by Jeremiah the prophet, Jeremiah chapter 31 verse 15, saying, a voice was heard in Ramah, lamentation, weeping and great mourning, Rachel weeping for her children, refusing to be comforted because they are no more. And the backstory to that, isn't it, clearly, is this is why Bethlehem is so famous, because this is where Rachel was given birth to Benjamin, wasn't it? And she was dying, and she called him the son of my sorrow. And Jacob, Israel, renamed him the son of my right hand. And we've looked at that, the messianic message there in Bethlehem, that the man of sorrows will be born there, who would be the one to die and rise again and ascend and become the son of my right hand, which is always Psalm 110, the Melchizedek message. Keeps saying the same thing here, Melchizedek, son of my right hand. But this is the Bethlehem message, and it was when Rachel was in sorrow and she gave birth to Benjamin, and then Jeremiah prophesied this, connected it with Rachel. Said a voice was heard in Ramah, which was when Jeremiah was talking about the northern tribes, you know, because they were taken in the northern. They were taken in the first captivity, really, the first exile. So it's a strange passage, and you would think, well, that's gruesome passage, that. But then when you go to Jeremiah, as I was just saying before, Jeremiah 31, actually back up to Jeremiah 29 for that information about the 70 weeks. Yeah, the 70 years. Jeremiah 29 is when Jeremiah is saying 70 years. And so really it's a great read, all of this, carrying on reading all the way through. Chapter 30 says it's all about the restoration of Israel and Judah. Two houses, house of Israel and the house of Judah. This is the prophecy about the restoration of the whole house of Israel. It says in Jeremiah chapter 30 verse 3, just to set the tone, because it just runs into each other. You find out at the end of this prophecy, Jeremiah is asleep through it all. It says at the end that I woke up. Oh, I had a lovely sleep, he says. So this is all getting spoken to again while he's asleep. But he says in verse 3, behold, the days are coming, says Jehovah, that I will bring back from captivity my people Israel and Judah, says Jehovah, and I will cause them to return to the land that I gave to their fathers, and they shall possess it. So it's a fantastic, encouraging message, all of it. Well, let's just go to 31, Jeremiah 31, and let's read all of this. I've said in the Gospels we do this, and that's the rule of this in the whole New Testament. If you see a scripture in the New Testament coming from the Hebrew scriptures, the Tanakh, the Old Testament, go there and read it. Don't just read the one verse, read all of it. And this is a great example of why Jeremiah chapter 31, at the same time, it says. At the same time. What time? We'll go back to Jeremiah chapter 30, verse 24. The fierce anger of Yahovah will not return until he has done it, and until he has performed the intents of his heart in the latter days. That's what this is a message for. It's a latter day message. In the latter days you'll consider it. Because it's in the latter days that God's going to perform it, and is performing it. But it's connected to this, you see. Verse chapter 31, at the same time, says Jehovah, I will be the God of all the families of Israel, and they shall be my people. Thus says Jehovah, the people who survived the sword found grace in the wilderness. That's the message in Revelation 12 and 13, isn't it? When this Satan's cast down and he persecutes the woman, and she is given the wings of a great eagle, and she flies off, and a place is found for her in the wilderness for 3.5 years, where she is nourished and protected from the wrath of Satan. Well, that's what this is saying. Those who survived the sword found grace in the wilderness. Israel, when I went to give him rest. Yahovah has appeared of old to me, saying, yes, I have loved you with an everlasting love. This is what the Torah said, Deuteronomy, when Yah, speaking through Moses, was saying, it's not because of you. It's not because of your righteousness I'm doing this. It's because of the promise I made to your fathers, because of the love that I've got for Abraham, Isaac and Jacob, and I'm not willing to break my promise with them. That's why you're benefiting from this deliverance. I've loved you with an everlasting love. Therefore, with loving kindness I have drawn you. Again I will build you, and you shall be rebuilt, O Virgin of Israel. You shall again be adorned with your tambourines, and you shall go forth in the dances of those who rejoice. You shall yet plant vines on the mountains of Samaria. Now that's what they call the West Bank. That's what they call the Palestinian occupied territories and all the rest of it, the West Bank. Well, that's not what God looks at like. It's the mountains of Israel. The planters shall plant and eat them as ordinary food, for there shall be a day when the watchman will cry out on Mount Ephraim, arise and let us go up to Zion, to Yahovah our Elohim. Sing with gladness for Jacob, and shout among the chief of the nations. Proclaim, give praise, and say, this is an instruction to us, when for the latter days. For the latter days, this is what we're called to do as his royal priesthood. Oh, Yahovah, save your people.
Amen.
The remnant of Israel. This is what he's asking us to do. Proclaim it.
Amen.
Say it. Oh, Yah, save your people, the remnant of Israel. Behold, I will bring them from the north country and gather them from the ends of the earth. Among them, the blind and the lame. Yeshua heals the blind and the lame. The woman with child and the one who labours with child together. A great throng shall return. They shall come with weeping, and with supplication I will lead them. I'll cause them to walk by the rivers of waters, in a straight way in which they shall not stumble. For I am a father to Israel, and Ephraim now is my firstborn. This is what we're looking at in the Torah this week, wasn't it? When Jacob crossed his hands and blessed Joseph's second-born son Ephraim and made him the firstborn. And that's this. Ephraim, which is the northern tribes, the 10 northern tribes, the lost sheep of the house of Israel, is my firstborn. Hear the word of Yehovah, O nations. And we're prophesying as we're doing this, and declare it in the isles afar off, that's here, and say, he, this is what we're meant to say, he who scattered Israel will gather him and keep him as a shepherd does his flock. That's what we got introduced to last week, wasn't it? Or earlier on tonight when we read Micah. And it says that the one who will be the ruler of Israel and the shepherd of his people will be born in Bethlehem. It's all about Yeshua. That's why it plays into this. The shepherd, he's going to shepherd his flock, for Yahovah has redeemed Jacob. That answers your question last week, what you said, when Anna went and proclaimed that she'd seen the Messiah to all those who were what? Looking for redemption in Israel.
Yeah.
That's what it's all coming from, this language. Yahovah has redeemed Israel, and she's gone out to say to them all, the Redeemer's here. He's a baby in the temple, I've just seen him. That's what it means. She was proclaiming the Messiah to those who looked for the Redeemer. Yahovah is the Redeemer.
Amen.
And ransomed him from the hand of one stronger than he. Therefore they shall come and sing in the height of Zion, streaming to the goodness of Yahovah, for wheat and new wine and oil. It's like Shavuot, there's Pentecost for the young of the flock and the herd. Their souls shall be like a well-watered garden. Hallelujah. And they shall sorrow no more at all. You might think, why is he reading this? What's this got to do with it? Well, you're going to read it now. Then shall the virgin rejoice in the dance, and the young men and the old men together, for I will turn their mourning to joy, and will comfort them. Now again, that plays into Simeon last week, when Simeon was looking for the consolation, the comforter of Israel. Well, this is the language. He's going to turn their mourning into joy. That's what we've seen all the time. Everyone's rejoicing. Everyone's got exceeding joy, from the shepherds to the wise men. It's just everyone who knows what's going on here. It's just full of joy. Their mourning has been turned to joy. There's going to be mourning in a minute, but it's going to be turned to joy. And make them rejoice rather than sorrow. Verse 14, I will satiate the soul of the princes with abundance, the priests with abundance, that's us, and my people shall be satisfied with my goodness, says Jehovah. Now here's in the midst of all this, here's our verse. Thus says Jehovah, a voice was heard in Ramah, lamentation and bitter weeping, Rachel weeping for her children, refusing to be comforted for her children because they are no more. This is because of what Herod's doing, a type of what the Antichrist is going to be doing. But look what it says in verse 16. Thus says Jehovah, refrain from your voice from weeping and your eyes from tears, for your work shall be rewarded, says Jehovah, and they shall come back from the land of the enemy. There is hope in your future, says Jehovah, that your children shall come back to their own border. I have surely heard Ephraim bemoaning himself. This is Ephraim, you have chastened me, and I was chastised like an unsane bull. Restore me, and I will return, for you are Jehovah, my Elohim. Surely after my turning I repented, and after I was instructed, I struck myself on the thigh. I was ashamed, even humiliated, because I bore the reproach of my youth. This is like Ephraim now. This is the Gentiles, this is the nations, scattered, I should say, in all the nations. Jeremiah 16, that in these last days, the Gentiles will cry out and say, our fathers inherited lies. Nothing but worthlessness and unprofitable things. That's Ephraim bemoaning, going, wow, all of the nonsense we've inherited, the lies we have inherited. It's all part of this message. Verse 20, is Ephraim my dear son? Is he a pleasant child? For though I spoke against him, I earnestly remember him still. This is the heart of God. He says the same things in Hosea. How can I forget him? Can a mother forget the child of her womb? How can I forget you, Israel? This is why it's such a message of joy and hope. Verse 21, this is what we're doing. Set up signposts, make landmarks, set your heart toward the highway, the way in which you went. Turn back, repent, O Virgin of Israel. Turn back to these your cities. How long will you gad about, O you backsliding daughter? For Jehovah has created a new thing in the earth. A woman shall encompass a man, a Gibor, a champion, the Messiah. Verse 23, thus says Jehovah of hosts, the God of Israel, they shall again use this speech in the land of Judah and its cities when I bring back their captivity. Yehovah is the language that should be getting used now in Israel. Yehovah bless you, O home of justice and mountain of holiness. Let it be. And there shall dwell in Judah itself and in all its cities together farmers and those going out with flocks. For I have satiated the weary soul, and I have replenished every sorrowful soul. Verse 26, after this, Jeremiah says, I awoke and looked around, and my sleep was sweet to me. That's quoting from Proverbs chapter 3, where it's saying, guard wisdom and understanding, keep them, and then your sleep will be sweet to you. So we can see that Jeremiah is a man of wisdom and understanding, and he's just had a lovely sleep and heard all of those wonderful promises. But we haven't finished. It's Jeremiah 31. We've got to carry on. Verse 27. Behold, the days are coming, says Jehovah, that I will sow the house of Israel and the house of Judah with the seed of man and the seed of beast. And it shall come to pass that as I have watched over them to pluck up, to break down, to throw down, and to destroy and to afflict, so I will watch over them to build and to plant, says Jehovah. Just another word, just as he watched over the scattering, he is going to watch over the regathering. In those days they shall say no more, the fathers have eaten sour grapes, and the children's teeth are set on edge. That's not fair, is it? Just because the fathers have eaten sour grapes, it's not fair that the children should have to suffer. Jeremiah 16, our fathers have inherited lies. It won't be like that in this day. But every one of them shall die for his own iniquity. Every man who eats sour grapes, his teeth, not his kids, his teeth will be set on edge. Here it is, Jeremiah chapter 31, verse 31. That's easy to remember, isn't it? Jeremiah 31, verse 31. This is the message. This is what it's all about. This is why it's connected. That's why that horrible incident was prophesied about and recorded by Jeremiah, so that Matthew would go, that's what's taking place here. But look what it brings about. Verse 31. Behold, the days are coming, says Jehovah, when I will make a new covenant with the house of Israel and with the house of Judah. This could only happen, couldn't it, through Yeshua? Not according to the covenant that I made with their fathers in the day that I took them by the hand to lead them out of the land of Egypt, my covenant, which they broke. They broke it, didn't they? With the sin of the golden calf. They broke the first commandment, didn't they? I'm Jehovah. Don't make any images to me. Don't make anything and call it me. You know, even if you think you're worshipping me and you call it Yehovah, don't make any images to me. And what was the first thing he did? He made an image and said, this is Yehovah. This bull, this calf is Yehovah that brought us out of Egypt. He thought you were worshipping the true God, but you can't worship the true God in unbiblical ways, can you? You can't say you're worshipping the true God and do it in a man-made way. And that's exactly what they did. They broke the covenant, which is why we needed a new covenant, which is why Yeshua, the night before he pours out his soul for death, says, this is the new covenant in my blood. What is the new covenant? I mean, we really want to know what the new covenant is, don't we? As Christians, as believers in Jesus, we need to know what the new covenant is, because he instituted it in his blood, didn't he? So what is the new covenant? That's why I'm reading this. This is the new covenant. This is the covenant that I will make, verse 33, with the house of Israel after those days, says Jehovah. I will put my Torah in their minds. So Paul's saying, renew your mind. Present yourselves by the mercies of God as living sacrifices. Be renewed. Be transformed by the renewing of your mind. The new covenant is that he will put his Torah in our minds. And this is the new covenant, I will write my Torah on their hearts. It's not the new covenant if it's not that. It's a man-made flag if it's not that, isn't it? The prophets tell you what the new covenant is, and this is the new covenant. I will put my Torah in your minds, and I will write it on your hearts, and I will be their God, and they will be my people. Hallelujah. This is what Hebrews chapter 8, the New Testament, is teaching us, is the better covenant when it's comparing the Levitical priesthood. That's what the Hebrews is doing, isn't it? It's comparing the Levitical covenant, the Levitical priesthood, with this new covenant and this new priesthood, which is the Melchizedek priesthood. And the new covenant is written on our hearts, not on tablets of stone, which couldn't change us. Didn't change Israel, did it? It just got them to break it. And that's what Paul's teaching in Romans 7, that it's the sin took opportunity through the law and manifested itself as sin. And he's going, but doesn't mean that there's anything wrong with the law. It's sin's the problem here. And in Romans 7, Paul is expressing the new covenant when he says, in my inner man, that's my heart, I delight in the Torah of God. That's what he says in it. Romans 7:22. Paul is expressing this, that he is part of the new covenant now, and in his inner man, he loves the Torah. And then he's saying, but I've got sin dwelling in my flesh, warring against my spirit man for control. So what am I going to do? I know. With my mind, I will serve the Torah of God. That's Paul showing us how the new covenant works. The new covenant is his Torah written on our hearts and minds. Verse 34, I'll just carry on. No more shall every man teach his neighbour. This is what Hebrews 8 says. And every man his brother, saying, know Jehovah, for they shall know me, all of them, from the least of them to the greatest of them, says Yah. For I will forgive their iniquity, and their sin I will remember no more. Thus says Jehovah. This is powerful, because we've been talking about the sun and the moon and the stars, haven't we? Thus says Jehovah, who gives the sun for a light by day, the ordinances of the moon and the stars for a light by night, who disturbs the sea and its waves roar. Psalm 46, we've been talking about that, haven't we? Singing it, praying it, though the oceans roar and the mountains fall into the sea. Exactly what we just see this week on the news. A tsunami caused by a mountain, a volcano, falling into the sea and causing the oceans to roar. Well, despite all of that, we're told, don't let your hearts fear. Yahovah is his name.
Yes, amen.
If those ordinances depart, if the sun and the moon stop doing what they're meant to do, if that ever happens, says Yah, then the seed of Israel shall also cease from being a nation before me forever. Thus says Jehovah, if heaven above can be measured, and the foundation, that's probably why they got the Hubble Space Telescope, probably trying to measure it. If the heaven above can be measured, and the foundations of the earth searched out beneath, I will also cast off the seed of Israel. Thank God that the more they search, they come back with, God, the more we look, the deeper it goes. The more further out into space we get, the more we realise there's no end to this thing. The further they go, the more they know it's unsearchable. Just like what God said through Jeremiah. If you can search this out, go ahead, I'll cancel the contract. If you can get the sun to stop doing what the sun does, and if you can get the moon to stop doing what the moon does, I'll cancel the covenant. And that's why we read what we read in Psalm 89 the other week. It's so powerful when you think about it, that when God was talking about the covenant that he made with David that would not fail, he said, the moon is the faithful witness to this. If you can cancel the moon out, go on then. But thank God no one can. Thank God no one can.
Amen.
I won't be surprised if they started trying to launch nuclear weapons at the moon as soon as they try and get rid of it. But it won't work. You know, because it can't happen. And God has put them there as witnesses.
Amen.
They are witnesses to his covenant. That's what this means. You should get great joy when the sun rises in the morning and we thank him every morning for his loving kindness. Because he's not going to cancel the contract.
Hallelujah.
And when we see the moon at night, we thank him for his faithfulness, because they're witnesses to this new covenant.
Amen.
He's never going to abandon us.
Hallelujah.
You know, so we'll finish that bit. But you know, it's not often that you get to study a whole chapter of Jeremiah in a Bible study, but you do here. Because, you know, you read that verse in Matthew 2, and you've got to go and investigate, haven't you?
Yeah.
And you go and investigate, and that's what you come away with. You come away with finding out, wow, in the midst of that verse, all around it, I should say, is joy and hope. Let's just finish off the section, yeah? Don't know how long we've been going, but we might as well just make this, you know, carry on to the end of this bit. Is that all right? So it's a great message of joy and hope, that. Now, verse 19, when Herod was dead, now this is important. When Herod was dead, behold, an angel of Jehovah, just as he said he would do to Joseph, appeared in another dream. This is his third dream now, to Joseph in Egypt, saying, arise, take the young child and his mother, and go to the land of Israel, for those who sought the young child's life are dead. So Herod's dead. And this is important. We were talking about this before, me and Justin, that a lot of the scholars still say to this day that Yeshua was born around 7 BC. And they get that because the later translations of Josephus, especially Antiquities of the Jews, places Herod's death at 4 BC, 4 to 5 BC. So they're going, well, if Herod died in 4 to 5 BC, and we know that Yeshua was around 1 to 2, then Yeshua must have been born in 7 BC. And so they've based all their inquiries around 7 BC, which just doesn't add up, as we have seen. But, and I don't know if Justin's got, if you put that link up to that Mazzaroth thing, he's the man that brought this to light, that it's in the same Antiquities of the Jews by Josephus, but in the area manuscripts. It's been changed for some reason, but in the area manuscripts, more reliable ones, it's clear that Herod died in 1 BC. 1 BC, and then there's other checks we can do here. There's records in antiquities that Herod killed these two eminent Pharisees, these two great teachers of the Torah. They were really respected, and Herod killed them. And he killed them at the time of a solar eclipse. And that can all be backdated to find out when it was. And again, it was 1 BC. And this was just before Herod died. After he did that, he really went downhill. He killed all these kids, and then he was just killing everyone really. And then he just went downhill, and his health failed. Then he killed another one of his sons. He was just losing the plot completely and killing everyone. That's what he was doing. And we've got records of these events. So with that, the biblical records and the historical records, we can know when this was. Herod died in 1 BC, not 405 BC. Yeshua was born a couple of years before Herod's death in 3 BC. It all makes sense. So, and more information from the time of Archelaus. He was another one who he massacred 3,000 Pharisees just before Passover, and Passover was cancelled that year. And these are big events that we can find out. When was this? We've got Roman historical records that they cancelled Passover because they feared there was going to be uproar, because Archelaus, who we're then introduced to now, massacred 3,000. It's in the historical records Josephus has given us. We know the time this took place. So when Herod was dead, the angel tells Joseph to go back to Israel. go to the land of Israel, for those who sought the young child's life are dead. We're only going to finish off to verse 23, and then we finish that section. So verse 21, then he arose, Joseph, took the young child and his mother, and came into the land of Israel. But when he heard that Archelaus now, Herod's other son, was reigning over Judea, instead of his father Herod, he was afraid to go there. I've just explained why. He was another bloodthirsty man. So he was warned again by God in a dream. He turned aside into the region of Galilee. Hallelujah, because this is exactly what Isaiah chapter 9 said to me. Galilee of the Gentiles, in you a great light has dawned. You know, Zebulun and Naphtali by the sea. This is the prophets always show us that the Messiah will be brought up in Galilee. And that's what it says. He came and dwelt in the region of Galilee. Final verse. And he came and dwelt in a city, well, we know this, called Nazareth, don't we? Nazareth. That it might be fulfilled. Here's Matthew again, another time now. That it might be fulfilled. Matthew loves to show us that the prophets are being fulfilled in the life of the Messiah. This is what Yeshua said, didn't he? Don't think I've come to do away with the Torah and the prophets. I haven't come to do away with them. I've come to fulfill them.
Amen.
I've come to do them. And it hasn't finished. There's a lot of the prophets that haven't been fulfilled yet. Amen. So thank God the Torah and the prophets aren't done away with, because Yeshua hasn't fulfilled them all yet. He's going to have a lot more to fulfill soon. So we've mentioned this, but this is the context. We'll just read it again now, and then we'll finish with that. He came and dwelt in a city called Nazareth, that it might be fulfilled, which was spoken by the prophets, he shall be called a Nazarene. So where does it say that in the prophets? I know you've done this a couple of times, so you know the answer to this. That's why you're answering me, isn't it?
It doesn't.
It doesn't. Where does it say in the prophets in that way, he will be called a Nazarene? It doesn't say that in the prophets, but it does say in Isaiah chapter 11 that a Netze, doesn't it? A Netze. And just for the benefit of those that don't know this so well, this is very important, so we'll just go there. Isaiah 11. This is critical. You know, Matthew knows what he's writing. This is where he's alluding to in the prophets. It says in Isaiah 11, there shall come forth a rod from the stem of Jesse, and a branch, usually in Hebrew a tsemach, not this case, a netze. And netze shall grow out of his roots. So this is what Matthew's on about, and this is where Nazareth got its name from. And we've already seen this in the narrative, haven't we? That Joseph and his wife Miriam went back to their ancestral home of Bethlehem, because that's where they came from originally. Their ancestors came from Bethlehem because they were of the house of David. That's why when Augustus Caesar called for a census, they all went back to Bethlehem, because that's where their roots were. Roots. And out of their roots, they set up a town called Nazareth. Netzaret. The Netze. And that's what this is. Yeshua is the branch, the Netze, who come from the line of David, but was brought up in a place separate from the root system. And that's exactly what a netzer is. A branch, a netzer, is a horticultural term, isn't it, for an olive tree which has not come from someone planting a seed and it grows. It comes from a dead, or as people think, a dead olive system, where it'll have an old, decaying olive tree. But then at another place, at another time, a new olive tree will rise up, and that's called, horticulturally speaking, a netze. And that's what Yeshua is. He's the netze. He's the one from Bethlehem who is now springing up in this place called Nazareth. That's what the prophets was on about. So we'll leave it at that there. We'll just say the blessing that we say over anyone that's watching us, regulars that come on a Friday, and for those that aren't with us, Chris and Christine and Anne was, Joan was asking us on behalf of Anne, where's the video? So for Anne as well, who's watching us, and Mike, Laura and Mike, who can't be with us every Friday, but we're going through these notes. So for all of you that don't join us every week, this is the prayer we say. Ivarecha Yehovah, Vaishvarecha, Ya'e Yehovah, Penavilecha, Veikunecha, Isa Yehovah, Penavilecha, Veyasemnecha Shalom. Yehovah bless you and keep you. Yehovah make his face shine upon you and be gracious to you. Yehovah lift up his countenance upon you and give you shalom. As you study this, and as you seek God and ask him to make you a witness